I pretended to be a bad girlfriend to see if he'd fight for me then. I used to think marriage was just another battlefield, a place where control, not love, determined who thrived. My husband, Drew, was too good, too patient, too forgiving. He made coffee every morning, called his mom weekly, and texted me, "Drive safe," like clockwork. I don't know when, but that started to feel boring. I'm not proud of what I did, but I wanted to see if he'd fight for me, not just go with the flow like always. I wanted passion, fire, jealousy. So I tested him. It started small, ignoring his messages, staying out late, hinting about imaginary coworkers I found interesting. Drew never raised his voice, never accused me, just looked a little more tired each week, but always kissed my forehead goodnight. Then I turned it up. I deliberately picked fights over nothing. Dinner, laundry, even his birthday plans. I flirted a little too openly with strangers when we went out. I even left a fake text thread open on my phone, messages from a guy named Qley asking if I was still coming over. That was the final test. I wanted to see if he'd finally snap, if he'd confront me, yell, cry, fight. Instead, he just looked at the screen for a long time, whispered okay, and walked out. That was 3 months ago. At first, I thought he was playing a game too. I thought he'd come back, storming in with anger or heartbreak, finally proving he cared enough to lose control. But he didn't. He just vanished. No social media activity. No messages. He left his phone, keys, and wallet behind. His job said he resigned. Even his family didn't know where he went. For the first time in our marriage, I was the one calling, texting, begging. I left voicemails, drove by his childhood home, even checked hospitals. Nothing. No trace. Then I got the first envelope. It arrived 2 weeks after he left. No return address. Just a single photo of me sitting at a bar, laughing, hair tossed over my shoulder, hand on another man's arm. A moment I didn't even remember. No note. Just a photo. 2 days later, another envelope. This time, a screenshot of the fake Qley text from my phone. The ones I staged. It felt like he was saying, "I saw everything, and I'm not coming back." The worst part, he didn't block me. He just never responded. I started spiraling. I left work early. Couldn't sleep. My friends who used to joke with me about spicing up my marriage started looking at me differently. My mom asked if I had driven him away. And I couldn't lie anymore, yes. Yes, I had. I told myself it was a test, but in truth, I wanted to break something good just to see if I could. And now I had. But the story doesn't end there. Because something about Drew's disappearance didn't sit right. A friend of his told me he withdrew a large sum from our joint account before I even started acting out. Weeks before the Qley texts. That same friend claimed Drew had been visiting lawyers. Another said he'd been secretly renting a storage unit. That's when I realized this wasn't a man running because of my test. This was a man who saw it coming, who played along, and who had a plan of his own. Now I'm the one being watched, the one who's wondering what's next. And deep down, I know, Drew didn't just leave. He's making me feel everything he once felt. Weeks turned into months, and Drew remained a ghost. The third envelope came while I was brushing my teeth. I heard the mail slot clink, and there it was, the same cream envelope with no return address. My heart dropped. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a USB drive. No note. No label. I didn't want to plug it in. I hesitated for a whole day. But my curiosity won. I loaded it on my old laptop, one that wasn't synced to any of our accounts. Just in case. There were 3 files. June_16.mov. Kitchen_audio.mp3. Document.pdf. The video file was first. It was silent footage from inside our home. Our kitchen. Dated 2 months before he left. I watched, horrified, as the footage played back a moment I thought was private. Me, talking to my friend Emily, saying he's so clueless. I could kiss a guy in front of him, and he'd probably say sorry for standing in the way. She laughed. I laughed. And Drew must have been the one recording it. The audio file was worse. It was a phone call, my voice. I was complaining to another friend, saying, maybe if I pretend to cheat, he'll actually react like a man. My tone was smug, calculated. The PDF was the real punch in the gut. It was a copy of a legal document, a divorce petition. Signed. Not by me, but by Drew. It was dated a week before I sent the fake Qley texts. It all hit me at once. He knew. Before I even began. He saw it coming. My little test wasn't some secret act of emotional strategy. It was something he had watched take shape like a storm on the horizon. And instead of confronting me, he started setting up his exit. That's when I knew this wasn't just silence. This was revenge. He let me run the test. Let me believe I was in control. And the moment I crossed the line, he was already 3 steps ahead, quitting his job, cashing out, canceling subscriptions, moving out quietly. I tried calling his mom again. She answered this time. I begged her, literally begged, to just tell me if he was safe. She said he's safe, but he doesn't want to be found. And he asked me not to tell you anything else. I asked her, why won't he talk to me? She sighed. He said, if you wanted fireworks, he'd let you live in the dark instead. I cried for the first time in years that night. Not out of sadness, but because I finally understood. Drew didn't want to fight. He wanted freedom. And he was going to make sure I felt every ounce of what I put him through, but in silence. Cold, calculated silence. But then, something changed. 2 nights later, I noticed my car's glove box open. Nothing was missing, but there was something added. A sticky note, with a single message in Drew's handwriting. You never really saw me, but now you will. My chest tightened. Was he here? Watching me? The doorbell rang. I jumped. Ran to the door. No one. Just another envelope. Inside it, a photo of me crying on the kitchen floor the night I got the first USB. A shot taken through the window. Drew wasn't just gone. He was watching. He had become the ghost I created. I stopped sleeping after the photo through the window. Every creak in the house made me jump. I changed the locks, installed cameras, hired a private investigator. But none of it worked. Drew had vanished from public life. No ID hits, no credit card use, no phone ping. But somehow he was always there. Not physically worse. Emotionally. Psychologically. I had built a prison for him, thinking I was clever. Now I was the inmate. One night, I came home to find all the lights in the house off, except the lamp in our old bedroom. I hadn't used that room in weeks. My hands were shaking as I crept upstairs. The lamp was on, the bed untouched, but on the nightstand was a thick brown envelope. Inside were pages, dozens of them, printed emails, chat logs, my social media messages going back years, comments I'd made, lies I'd told, complaints I'd aired to friends behind Drew's back. Even the flirty texts I thought I'd deleted long ago. He had everything. There was a sticky note on top. You didn't just test me. You betrayed someone who loved you at your worst. Now live in what you built. I fell apart on that bed. The same one I used to roll my eyes in when he'd bring me breakfast or hug me from behind while brushing his teeth. I thought about all the little things I dismissed as weakness, his patience, his kindness, the quiet way he always forgave me even when I didn't say sorry. I thought I wanted someone stronger. Someone who'd yell, throw a scene, fight. I didn't understand then. True strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to perform. Drew's strength was the quiet kind. The kind that lets go. But he didn't just leave. He wanted me to feel the void. Not just lose him, but be haunted by the man I took for granted. And God, he succeeded. I lost friends. They slowly drifted away when they realized the truth behind our split wasn't as one-sided as I pretended. My own sister stopped replying after I confessed what I did. The only texts I get now are from debt collectors and spam. And I'm still receiving envelopes. Every month. One was a copy of a plane ticket, dated a week before he vanished, flying one way to Oregon. Another was a photo of him smiling with a dog I'd never seen, standing in front of a cozy cottage, somewhere in a wooded area. He looked happy. Whole. Lighter than I'd ever seen him. That one broke me. I realized this was his final message. He wasn't coming back. He wasn't watching me anymore. He had moved on. The game was over. But I was still playing. He didn't need revenge that ruined me publicly. He gave me one that would echo quietly in every silent morning, every cold dinner, every late night alone in this empty house. Sometimes, I talk out loud as if he's listening. Sometimes, I write letters I'll never send. But the truth? He already won. He made me see myself the way he must have. A woman who didn't know what she had until she broke it. And now, I live in the wreckage of my own making. So to the women reading this, don't test the good ones. They won't scream. They'll just disappear. And they'll make sure you never stop noticing they're gone. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.